questions. Question orale, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Aujourd'hui, on apprend que...
Thank you. Today, we learned that the percentage of Canadians with their own home is at the lowest level in 20 years. That's after seeing house prices double ever since this Prime Minister came to power. At that time, the average family could pay for their monthly housing costs with 32% of their paycheck, and now that's 50%. And the government is going to make that worse by hiking taxes on paychecks, heating, gas, and groceries. Will the government cancel these tax hikes so Canadians can actually buy or keep their own house? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to start by congratulating the new leader of the official opposition. This week started with the funeral ceremony for Her Majesty. And it has given us a moment to reflect on the benefits of Westminster-style democracy. A loyal opposition is essential to our political system. It is very clear that we don't agree about many things. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister for her kind words and her congratulations. And I look forward to being able to congratulate more young families on the ability to buy their own homes. Unfortunately, it's nice to be in the House, but it would be nice for them to be in a home. But unfortunately, house prices have doubled under this government's policies. In fact, the share of the average Canadian's paycheck needed to pay the average monthly bill on housing has gone from 32% to 50%. The government's solution to raise paycheck taxes and gas taxes and other taxes. Won't they cancel this tax hike so Canadians can pay their...
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've just heard EI premiums mentioned, and so I want you to guess what EI premiums were in 2015. $1.88. And guess who was the minister in charge? The current Conservative leader. Now guess what EI premiums will be next year? $1.63. That is 25 cents lower. So the leader of the official opposition needs to tell Canadians, was he misguided then, or is he misguided now?
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Neither, Mr. Speaker. Guess what Canadians paid in 2015 in EI if they earned $60,000 in 2015? $930. Guess what they pay now? $948. That is an increase. Furthermore, if you look at total payroll taxes, they've gone from $3,400 to $4,100 under this government. That's a $700 increase, and the government plans to raise EI premiums. That's the paycheck tax on January 1st, along with other taxes. Why won't they cancel these tax hikes so Canadians can pay their bills?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to remind the Leader of the official opposition of something he should have figured out when he was the responsible minister. The CPP and EI contributions every working Canadian makes are how we all pay for our retirement and how we create a safety net for every Canadian in case we lose our jobs. These contributions do not go into general government revenue. At a time of global economic uncertainty, it is the height of irresponsibility for the Conservatives to suggest that we as a country stop putting money away for our retirement.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
In fact, EI premiums do go into general revenues when they go into a surplus, and that is what the government plans to do. They plan to raise both EI and CPP premiums, the paycheck tax, right at a time when we are facing 40-year highs in inflation, all-time highs in increased housing prices, 40-year highs in food price inflation, record food bank use. This is the last time that anyone should be raising any tax. Will the government back down from its planned tax hikes on paychecks and on energy?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the economy, expectations matter. And that is why it is so irresponsible for these Conservatives to talk down the Canadian economy. Yes, things are hard right now, but Canada is better positioned than any country in the world. We have the strongest economic growth and the lowest deficit in the G7. Employment is at historic highs. Inflation is lower in Canada than the US, the UK, and the Eurozone, and it has now come down for 2 months in a row. We'll get through these tough times together.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, now the Liberals would have Canadians believe that they've never had it so good. Well, I guess if you're jetting around the world singing songs in a beautiful lobby, then that might be true. But if you are the 30-year-old stuck living in your parents' basements because the Liberals have doubled housing prices, you might disagree. If you can't fill up your tank with the gas, you might disagree. If you're among the 4 and 5 families that have cut their diets because they can't afford food, you might disagree. And the last thing you would want is a tax hike on your paycheck and on your energy use. Will the Liberals therefore cancel those tax hikes?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Canadians struggling today to make ends meet, the last thing you're going to want to do is trust these highly irresponsible Conservatives. After all, just this spring, their new leader described crypto as, quote, a way to opt out of inflation. Since then, Bitcoin has crashed by 56%. A Canadian who invested in Bitcoin, according to the reckless advice of this new leader, would have seen her life savings destroyed. That's irresponsible, and Canadians are smart enough to know it.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. D'abord, maintenant qu'il est assis, mes saluts.
First of all, now that he sat down again, I'd like to congratulate the new leader of the opposition. And I'd also like to salute the member for Richmond, Arthabaska, as well. I also have the address of Parliament noted down in case the Prime Minister needs it. And if he does come to Parliament, I would advise him to take Roxham Road. It's a lot faster and no one is monitoring it. And then after that, the microphone was off. The interpreter did not catch the question. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we believe in the strength of our asylum and immigration systems. We will work in close collaboration with relevant stakeholders about the situation at the border. And we are working with our American counterparts about border issues, including the Safe Third Country Agreement. We always work closely with all of our partners in order to respect our national and international obligations. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, perhaps we could attract the Prime Minister to the House by suggesting that he sing his answers. That way he could melodiously tell us why his government is tolerating smugglers' business to get people across the border into Quebec and Canada. And I'd like to know whether the Prime Minister is allowing tens of thousands of people to come in through Roxham Road because he knows that Quebec will not be able to integrate them in French. Is he doing it on purpose? And if not, can the Third Safe Country Agreement be suspended immediately, and can immigration powers be ceded to Quebec? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, over the summer, I have spoken with many entrepreneurs throughout the country, including from Quebec. They told me that immigration is essential to our economy, the Canadian and Quebec economies. As the Minister of Finance, I completely agree. Quebec establishes its own immigration targets. Last year, we supported more than 50,000 new permanent residents in the province. I hope all members in this House know that we will work together to support immigrants in Canada and in Quebec. We need them. Thank you. The honourable member for Burnaby South.
The cost of groceries are up by average 10%. Bread is up 15.4%. Fresh fruits is up by 13.2%. You know what else is up? Corporate profits.
Yeah.
The corporate profits for the corporation Sobeys are also up by 20.2% when we compare 2021 versus 2020. So we know that corporate greed is driving up the cost of living. So what is this government going to do to tackle greedflation caused by corporate greed?
Here, here, here. Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as Canadians know very well, our government is deeply committed to ensuring that everyone in Canada pays their fair share. We're permanently raising the corporate income tax by 1.5% on Canada's largest, most profitable banks and insurance companies. And we've introduced a recovery dividend of 15% on the excess profits of these institutions during the COVID pandemic. We also implemented, effective September 1, a 10% luxury tax on private jets and luxury cars worth more than $100,000 and boats and yachts worth more than $250,000, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Burnaby South.
This is a difficult time with the cost of living going up. The cost of groceries has gone up on average 10%. Oil has gone up 27%, pasta 32%. And yet at the same time, big business profits, owners of grocery businesses, have seen their profits go up. Loblaws has seen a 65% increase in profits between 2020, 21 and the present. It is very clear that the greed of big grocery businesses has contributed to inflation. What will the government do to fix this greedflation from the big grocery companies? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we have been and remain determined to ensure that everyone pays their fair share. We will be permanently increasing corporation tax by 1.5% for big banks and insurance companies. And we also introduced a 15% recovery dividend on excess profits from these institutions. Thank you. The honourable member for Bellechasse-les-Échemins-Lévis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Institute of Peace shows that a large majority of Canadians are concerned about the increase in interest rates and inflation. They are living from paycheck to paycheck, and they need to spend their entire paycheck, or even more than that, which is very bad. This government is insensitive. It is refusing to present a concrete plan to help these people. Will this government finally commit to not further hiking taxes? Mr. Speaker, Canada has a AAA rating and the lowest deficit in the G7. That's fiscal responsibility. And you know what else we need, Mr. Speaker? Compassion. That is why we are going to double the GST tax credit. We are also creating a $500 housing benefit. We are also going to bring in dental care for children under 12. Canadians can afford to be compassionate, and we will be. The honourable member. Well, the reality, Mr. Speaker, is that inflation is discouraging Canadians. We're seeing the highest increase that we have in 40 years. Parents are struggling to feed their kids. They have to make heart-rending choices. You know that, Mr. Speaker. But this government wants to raise taxes on taxpayers who are already barely keeping their head above water. Will this government promise not to further hike taxes? I'm asking for a simple answer, yes or no. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, if the Conservatives really wanted to help Canadians, they would be supporting our plan. a 4-person family earning $35,000, a family like that, don't you think that they could do with $500 to help them with their groceries? Don't the Conservatives agree that a low-income essential worker who's struggling to pay rent, don't they think that such a worker could do with $500? We think that if the Conservatives really want to help Canadians, they should support our plan.
Black Hope.
Every day I hear heartbreaking stories from my constituents struggling to put food on their table and keep a roof over their heads. People are at their breaking point. They have nothing left to give. But this government wants to take more. They're set to raise taxes on paychecks, home heating, groceries, and gas. Why won't the government stop making things worse and cancel their punishing tax hikes?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the truth is, if the Conservatives really cared about hard-working Canadians who are struggling to make ends meet, they would support our plan. Do they really think a family of 4 earning just $35,000 a year couldn't use around $500 this fall to help buy groceries? Do they really think a 6-year-old shouldn't go to the dentist because her parents can't afford it? Do they think a low-income essential worker struggling to pay her rent couldn't use an extra $500? I think Canadians deserve the support. I wish Conservatives would agree.
The Honourable Member for Chilliwack Hope.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we certainly do not support their plan to raise taxes on the paychecks of Canadians, raise taxes on their gas, raise taxes on their groceries, and raise taxes on their home heating. We will never support that plan. Grocery prices are up 10%. Gas now costs over $2 a litre in the lower mainland of BC. And housing now eats up 50% of Canadians' paychecks. Why won't they stop making things worse and cancel their punishing tax hikes on Canadians?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
You know, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives used to be a party that had a few core economic principles. They used to believe in saving for your retirement. They used to believe in fiscal responsibility and in a well-funded EI system. In fact, when the current Conservative leader was the minister responsible for EI, he actually presided over an EI premium 25 cents higher than the one that will go into effect next year. So the Conservatives need to pick a lane. What do they really stand for these days?
The Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, this government's tax increases are causing a national unity crisis, and those tax hikes will target those who can least afford to pay. Now, the Prime Minister knows that more carbon tax increases will divide our country further and make life even less affordable. But this Prime Minister has taken the same approach all along, to raise taxes on working people, put basic necessities like transportation and food out of reach, and then try to politically exploit the division that results. So will this government change course and cancel their planned tax increases on Canadians' paychecks?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I spent some time in Alberta this summer, and I have some very clear views on who is trying to divide Canadians. Now, Mr. Speaker, I have a question for the members opposite when it comes to the price on pollution, because the reality is we are putting money back into the pockets of Canadians. So will they ask Ontario families to pay back $745 this year? Do they want Alberta families to pay back $1,079 this year? Saskatchewan families, $1,100.
Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, is this real life? Because that answer was pure fantasy. We have inflation, landslides, and no escape from poverty. When will the Prime Minister open up his eyes and see he's not a poor boy, but he should have some sympathy? For too many Canadians, opportunity had just begun, and now this government is going to throw it all away. Money is not easy come, easy go in this economy. So when will the government cancel their planned tax increases on gas, home heating, and groceries, and spare us from this inflation monstrosity?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
You know, little shocking to me that an MP from Alberta would be wanting to spare Alberta families a check for $1,079, which is what they are getting because of our carbon pricing scheme. And I also want to remind the member opposite that it was an Albertan.
I'm just going to interrupt for a moment. I'm having a hard time hearing, and I'm sure many other members in the chamber are having a hard time hearing as well. And I know everyone's excited to be back, but this is the second day back, so I'm sure everybody will learn to calm down and think that. We don't want to repeat the question, but I'll ask for a repeat of the answer. Thank you. From the top, the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Okay, so, Mr. Speaker, what I would like to ask you, and through you all Canadians, is whether the member opposite, who is an Alberta MP, is really suggesting that our government stop paying $1,079 to every family in Alberta this year. I think the people in that member's riding could really use that support, and I think they appreciate it. And I think they remember that it was Preston Manning who advocated strongly for a price on pollution.
The Honourable Member for Avignon, La Métis, Matane, Matapédia. Mr. Speaker, yesterday there was another shooting in Montreal at Georges Vanier Metro. Another person dead and 2 seriously injured. When will the federal government finally agree that its measures against illegal weapons smuggling are not working? There aren't fewer shootings, there are more. There aren't fewer illegal weapons, there are more. There aren't fewer victims, there are more. Those are the facts. Can the minister really look Quebecers in the eye and tell them that today there are fewer illegal weapons and shootings in Montreal thanks to the federal government? And if not, when will the government finally take action? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Speaker, we're taking the strongest action in a generation to keep communities safe from gun violence. We're working closely with the Quebec government and municipal leaders like Mayor Plante to make communities in Quebec safer. We've directed $46 million to support law enforcement in Quebec, $42 million in Quebec to steer youth away from a life of crime, and we continue to invest in hardening our border to prevent illegal gun trafficking. When it comes to protecting Canadians and Quebecers, we're the party Canadians can trust to enforce the law and keep Canadians safe.
The Honourable Member for Avignon, La Métis, Matane, Matapédia. It's exasperating, Mr. Speaker. Everyone in Quebec can see that there are more illegal weapons than ever before in Montreal. And they also know that the government is the one who's supposed to prevent those weapons from crossing the borders. But this is the same government that is in charge of passports, airports, and Roxham Road. It keeps telling us that everything is going just fine. No, this is a festival of failure, Mr. Speaker. Quebecers don't believe this government and this minister when they say that they're doing everything they can to deal with weapons smuggling. Quebecers will only believe that when they see results instead of shootings. When will the minister finally take this seriously?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fighting gun violence means cracking down on smuggling at our borders, and that's why we're doing just that. Last year, CBSA seized a record number of illegal firearms at the border, more than double the seizures in 2020. This year alone, we invested over $321 million into the border, more X-ray scanners, detector dogs, and specialized training. When it comes to protecting our borders, we're the only party Canadians can trust to enforce the law and keep Canadians safe.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Riverbend.
Mr. Speaker, the price of food, gas and housing continue to go up. And yet, this government wants to brag about a one-time $500 rent check that will almost certainly be vaporized by inflation. And we now know on January 1st next year, the Liberals will increase paycheck taxes on anyone making $60,000 by over $1,000. Will this government cancel their planned paycheck tax increases?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
You know, Mr. Speaker, the Canadians who are watching and listening to us today want one thing above all from us all, and that is compassion. They want us to understand that things are tough. They want to know that we have a plan to get through it, and they want to know that we're going to support them. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, I just don't understand why the Conservatives will not support us in giving about $500 to families struggling to buy groceries, $500 to Canadians struggling to pay their rent.
The honourable member for Edmonton Riverbend.
Mr. Speaker, what they want is more money in their pockets. Canadians are actually choosing between housing and affording food. It's people like Michelle and Stephen in my riding who are struggling to put food on the table for their 3 kids. They don't want more government handouts. They simply want to be able to afford to pay their bills and buy their groceries. In fact, 1 in 5 Canadians have taken on more debt and more loans just to afford the basics. When will this government cancel their planned paycheck tax increases?
The Honourable Minister for Families.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, the Conservatives are wrong. There are no tax increases. We're talking about EI and CPP. Mr. Speaker, we are helping families. In fact, families in Alberta in that member's riding are already receiving a 50% reduction in childcare fees. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, economist Ricardo Trajon said today that is helping families pay for the high cost of living. It's helping them pay for groceries. It's making sure that they have the things that their children need. Mr. Speaker, we're delivering for Canadian families every single day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary-Midnapore.
With basic essentials getting more and more expensive, Canadians continue to feel the crunch of sky-high inflation. Families are barely getting by, or worse, just hanging on. And this government is going to punish them further by raising their paycheck taxes on January 1st. Canadians simply can't afford this Liberal government anymore. So will the government cancel their planned tax increases on Canadians' paychecks?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, you know what is one of the big differences between our government and the Conservative members opposite? We know that Canadians are smart. We know that Canadians understand the difference between taxes and paying their EI premiums and paying into the Canada Pension Plan. Canadians know that saving up for our retirement and creating a fund to be sure we get support if we lose our jobs is smart policy. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? We know Canadians need support. That's why we have a plan to give them that.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member for Calgary-Midnapore.
The big difference is that we will leave money in Canadians' pockets. With rising inflation, Canadians can't afford any more taxes. Paycheck taxes are heading towards an all-time high for Canadians. As of this January 1st, the paycheck taxes of a Canadian making $60,000 a year will have increased by almost $1,000 since this Liberal government took office. So will the government listen to Canadians and cancel their planned tax increases on Canadians' paychecks?
Right here. Hear, hear.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the sad reality is that in pursuit of populist, partisan talking points, the Conservatives have become the party of fiscal irresponsibility. And the other real shame, Mr. Speaker, is that they are unwilling to set partisanship aside and join with the rest of the members of this House and help the Canadians who need it the most. With $500 to pay their rent, with a doubling of the GST tax credit, with help for kids who need to go see a dentist. Hard to understand, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Nunavut.
Today, Statistics Canada confirmed that 1/3 of people in Nunavut are living in overcrowded houses in desperate need of repair. That rate is 3 times higher than it is for non-Indigenous Canadians. The government promised in 2017 an Indigenous housing strategy, but no one has seen one since. The Liberals are failing Indigenous peoples. Will the Liberals commit to putting in place a by Indigenous, for Indigenous national housing strategy before the next budget?
The Honourable Minister for Northern Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for that very important question. In all my travels in the North and the Arctic, both virtual and real, housing is the issue that comes up the most often. Our government, however, has been making historic investments in distinctions-based housing. Budget 2022, as an example, invested $4 billion in Indigenous housing, including $845 million alone in Inuit Nunagat. We realize there's a lot of work to do, and we are committed to getting that work done, but we are going in the right direction.
The honourable member for Vancouver East.
It's a disgrace that Indigenous peoples are 11 times more likely to use a shelter. 1 in 5 Canadians cannot find housing they could afford, and home ownership is out of reach for too many young people. The Liberals continue to allow corporate landlords to treat housing as a stock market and not a basic human right. The government should not be in the business of financing corporate landlords to rental evict people from their homes. When will the Liberals act to stop the financialization of housing, to keep rent affordable for families struggling to keep a roof over their heads?
The Honourable Minister of Housing.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for the important question. But I also want to remind her that we've been very much focused on putting in place cutting-edge programs like the Canada Housing Benefit that is now in place in 10 provinces and 3 territories, that is delivering direct rental supports right into the pockets of Canadian renters in vulnerable situations. On top of that, we've been building affordable rental units from coast to coast to coast. And I want to remind the Honourable Member, the Rapid Housing Initiative alone has delivered almost 41% of the units to Indigenous communities.
Member for Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Speaker, we know that working-age persons with disabilities in Canada are twice as likely to live in poverty as those who without. That's why we've taken action to build Canada that's disability inclusive. In 2019, we passed the Accessible Canada Act, legislation that aims to realize a barrier-free Canada. And yesterday, Bill C-22, the Canada Disability Benefit Act, began second reading. Can the Honourable Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Disability Inclusion please share with this House how the Canada Disability Benefit will help lift working-age persons with disabilities out of poverty?
Honourable Minister of Employment.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday we took a major step forward towards creating the groundbreaking Canada Disability Benefit, a federal income supplement for working-age persons with disabilities. With the Canada Disability Benefit, we have a once-in-a-generation opportunities to lift hundreds of thousands of people out of poverty. We have an opportunity of a lifetime to send a message to our citizens with disabilities that they matter, that we will no longer sit by and let them struggle. And I hope everyone understands the moment we have in front of us, that we celebrate this together and we work to pass it as quickly as we can.
Yes. Honourable Member for Foothills.
The price of groceries are rising at a 40-year high. And the Liberals are fueling food inflation with nonsensical fertilizer policy and tax hikes on farmers. Food security and affordability are critical issues for Canadians, and our farmers offer a solution, growing affordable and sustainable food. But instead, the Liberals are attacking our producers with nonsensical fertilizer policy and tax hikes on fuel. Grocery prices are up 10%. Canadians are struggling to put food on the table. Why are the Liberals making the food affordability crisis even worse by hiking taxes on our farmers?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
I want to assure you that we are there to support our farmers. Last year, we have had the biggest budget of the history of the Agriculture Department, more than $4 billion. Recently, we have invested $1.5 billion in agri-environmental programming, because our farmers know that the biggest threat to their production is climate change. The biggest threat to food security is droughts and floods and climate change. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
Biggest threat to Canadian farmers is this Liberal government and their devastating policies. The minister is misleading Canadian farmers in this House, and she knows it. For example, they said that the carbon tax would be revenue neutral. They know it's not for Canadian farmers. In fact, Ontario grain growers study showed they get less than 20% of their carbon tax back by the Liberal rebate. Even their finance department knows it, saying the average farmer gets $800 back through the carbon tax rebate. $800. They spend tens of thousands of dollars a year on inputs. That is one day in a combine. One day. with the food affordability crisis where it is, will the Liberal Ag Minister defend Canadian farmers and oppose any new taxes on...
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Mr. Speaker, I'm here and we are here to support farmers days and night all year long. And we are investing in our farmers. We are investing in the ag sector. I'll just talk about the Clean Technology Program for one example, because we know that farmers need equipment, need new technologies to be more energy efficient, to be able to do precision agriculture, to fight against climate change, because this is the real threat to food security. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Peterborough-Kawartha.
45-year-old Jake makes $30 an hour and has put in over 200 hours of overtime this year, but is still struggling to make ends meet for his family. This Liberal government is planning to triple the carbon tax on gas, heat, and everything else. It is the most expensive government in history, and the more they spend, the more things cost, and the more Canadians like Jake continue to hang on by a thread. Will the Liberal government give Canadians like Jake a break and cancel their planned tax increases on Canadian paychecks?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and we are totally focused on addressing the affordability challenge for Canadian families. And I know in my home province of Manitoba, Mr. Speaker, many families are struggling, and that's why I'm so heartened to hear about the measures that have been introduced by the Finance Minister. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, it's important the price on pollution and the climate action rebate will put more money in people's pockets. 8 out of 10 families will be better off. And good news, Mr. Speaker, these checks will arrive in the mail in October, quarterly, and that will help with cash flow and affordability. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Peterborough-Kawartha.
What an insulting answer to Canadian families everywhere. This affordability crisis is a mental health crisis. When you can't afford to put food on the table for your family, that is a mental health crisis. Anxiety, depression, suicide. That is compassion when you can pay to feed your family. This government, this Liberal government, has doubled our national debt, adding more debt than all previous governments combined. Yet they are planning to increase taxes on gas, heat, and groceries. So I ask again, will this government cancel their planned tax increases on Canadian paychecks?
The Honourable Minister.
Just because Conservatives repeat something does not make it true, Mr. Speaker. We are not raising taxes. In fact, this government has given more money back to families than any previous government. Let's talk about the Canada Child Benefit, Mr. Speaker. That can return up to $7,000 for children under the age of 6 for low-income families. Mr. Speaker, that's different than the $100 of checks they sent every month to millionaires. Mr. Speaker, let's talk about childcare. 50% reduction in fees by the end of December. That's thousands of dollars for Canadian families. Mr. Speaker, that's real help that's going to help real Canadians. We understand things are difficult, and we're there.
The Honourable Member for Thérèse de Blainville. Mr. Speaker, the Minister received a mandate to implement a full reform of EI this summer, but she didn't do it. So on Sunday, when the temporary EI measures end, the Minister will be leaving 60% of workers to fend for themselves. On Sunday, she'll force them all back into the same old program that 60% of them can't access. A full reform is needed. But in the meantime, will the Minister at least extend the temporary measures? Nobody should have to go without because she didn't do her job.
The Honourable Minister of Employment.
System put in place during the pandemic were in response to extraordinary economic circumstances, shutdowns, lockdowns, job losses, record high unemployment rates. We're not there anymore. Thanks in great part to the work of our team here on this side of the House. We're proud of the work that we've done. Mr. Speaker, yes, we're winding down our temporary measures, but there's good reason for that. And I can assure every worker in Canada that they will still have access to a robust, modern, and excellent EI system that will be there for them.
The Honourable Member for Thérèse de Blainville. Mr. Speaker, it should have been done this summer, and now maybe they're saying it'll be at the end of the year. Since 2015, her government has promised EI reform, And for 7 years now, they've been pushing it back and pushing it back. 7 years. The minister has been meeting workers who have paid in their whole lives and now find themselves with nothing to show for it. And once again today, the reform is being pushed back. Does she know that workers who lose their jobs, they can't push back their financial problems?
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, I don't have time in 35 seconds to lay out all the impressive changes we've made to the EI system over the past 7 years, but let me highlight an upcoming one. By the end of this December, workers will have access to 26 weeks of sickness benefits instead of 15, and I'm looking forward to working with the member opposite as we modernize the EI system, as we allow better access and more adequate benefits for our workers. I can assure her and everyone that by the end of the year, you'll know what the vision for EI is.
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, the price of food continues to go up across the country, and instead of attacking inflation, this government wants to continue to handcuff Canadians with high food prices. The increase that's coming for the carbon tax is only going to make things more difficult for farmers. It's going to make it more difficult for them to put food on our tables. And it's also going to make it more costly to transport those products. Canadians are having a hard time making ends meet. They want to see a light at the end of the tunnel. Will the government cancel the increases on taxes for Canadian farmers?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, listening to the Conservative leadership race after the last number of weeks, the party is still debating whether climate change is real. And Mr. Speaker, that's not surprising since the Harper Conservatives did absolutely nothing for 10 years on the climate file. Mr. Speaker, while Conservatives are stuck in the past, we're looking to the future. We're building the economy of tomorrow, the clean jobs of tomorrow, and we're working for affordability. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Cumberland Colchester.
Mr. Speaker, the proposed carbon tax will increase the cost of home heating fuel by 80%, as pointed out by Liberal Premier Furey. Seniors in my riding of Cumberland Colchester, such as Catherine and June and Carol, reach out to my office every day because they're in dire straits. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, Carol had to sell her wedding rings to pay for food. On their behalf, will this government cancel new taxes on gas, home heating, groceries, and their paychecks?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I think all sides of this House are concerned about affordability and our citizens. And one party on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, is doing something about it. And that's why our climate plan is designed so that the majority of Canadians receive more in climate action incentive payments than they pay at the pump. Mr. Speaker, the honourable member will also know as the carbon price increases, so do the climate payments. And Mr. Speaker, they will be now paid quarterly to help with both cash flow and affordability. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Cumberland Colchester.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think we know from the PBO that the carbon pricing plan is a failure. We also know that almost 40% of Atlantic Canadians currently experience energy poverty, by far the highest rate in the entire country, as vocalized by all of the Atlantic premiers. Clearly, Atlantic Canadians are being priced out of their own lives. They can't afford to house themselves, heat their homes, or feed their families. This government needs to commit today to canceling tax increases. The question, Mr. Speaker, is simple. Will they do this, yes or no?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the honourable member for the question. And we on this side of the House realize there are unique affordability challenges in Atlantic Canada, and that's why the Minister of Environment just last week, Mr. Speaker, announced $120 million from the Low Carbon Economy Fund to help Atlantic Canadians transition away from heating oil to cleaner energy. Mr. Speaker, we have a plan for the environment. We have a plan for affordability. Every time that plan comes to the floor, the Conservatives vote against it. They have no plan, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
Monsieur le Président. Mr. Speaker, in 2017, our government accepted all of the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report and committed to implementing the 94 calls to action. One of the main recommendations was that the government establish a permanent council for reconciliation that will be independent and led by Indigenous people themselves, and that will provide oversight to evaluate the progress made towards reconciliation by all levels of government and by civil society. Can the Minister please inform this House of the measures taken by this government to establish this council and support in their operations? The Honourable Minister. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for his important question on the Reconciliation Council. Today we'll be debating at second reading Bill C-29, legislation that would create this independent standing and apolitical council, which will provide oversight for reconciliation and make sure that we're making progress on implementing the 94 calls to action. Bill C-29 is a response to the calls to action 53 to 56 of the TRC, and I invite all parliamentarians to support this bill and to make a concrete gesture towards reconciliation.
York Simcoe.
Mr. Speaker, LaRousse Haulage in Keswick has served the community of York Simcoe for over 75 years. But the future is looking bleak for small businesses like theirs because of the carbon tax. LaRousse has paid more than $65,000 in carbon taxes since May. And that's with just 20 trucks on the road. They're holding on by their fingernails, but with the carbon tax tripling, local businesses like LaRousse could go under. This is happening right across the country. The carbon tax is crushing Canadian small business. Will the Liberals scrap this tax?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of the Environment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we put a price on pollution, indeed, but we've also introduced a number of measures that will build the future economy, as well as create jobs and make life more affordable for Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Perhaps the honourable member has heard of our emissions reduction plan, which is going to get us to our 2030 targets. It has broad support from environmental groups to industry to farmers. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, every single time this comes to the floor, the Conservatives vote against it. They have no plan for the environment. They have no plan for the economy.
The Honourable Member for Sarnia-Lambton.
How's the tree planting going? Mr. Speaker, before the pandemic, half of Canadians were within $200 of not being able to pay their bills. And then during the pandemic, these Liberals increased taxes on home heating, gasoline, and workers' paychecks. Now, when Canadians are falling further and further behind, they want to triple the tax on home heating, gasoline, and take more money from workers' paychecks. Canadians cannot afford this. Will these Liberals finally listen to struggling Canadians and cancel these punishing taxes?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Carbon pricing is widely recognized by nearly everyone except Conservative politicians as the most economically efficient way to reduce emissions while also driving clean innovation. And, Mr. Speaker, I wonder if they could talk to one of their colleagues from New Brunswick Southwest who says his province should go back to using the federal carbon price because at least it comes with rebates. Mr. Speaker, we agree with that honourable member.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, inflation is giving Canadians headaches, and interest rates are striking a sour note for those who are renewing their mortgages. Gas, food, and consumer goods, all their prices are going up, and the government wants to continue to increase taxes on Canadians. Mr. Speaker, while the Prime Minister is playing concerts outside of the country, will the Liberals cancel all of the tax increases that are planned for workers and seniors, as we, the Conservatives, have demanded? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, if the Conservatives really want to help Canadians, I have an idea. They can vote in favor of our plan which will really help those who need it most. We are going to double the GST tax credit to provide up to $500 for Canadians who need that help. We've created dental care for kids under 12 and created
St. John's East.
Mr. Speaker, many seniors in my riding of St. John's East rely on their pensions and benefits like the OAS and GIS to help make ends meet. They have expressed real concern about being able to cover their rent while living on a fixed income. Can the Minister of Seniors please update the House on what our government is doing to focus on affordability for Canadian seniors?
The Minister for Seniors.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for her really important question and for her advocacy. Mr. Speaker, we recognize the challenges that seniors are facing, and our government has been there for them. And now, to help seniors who are struggling, with our affordability plan, we're doubling the GST tax credit. That means vulnerable seniors will receive $700 in their pockets. Nearly 2 million low-income renters who are struggling with their rent will receive $500. We also increased the old age security for seniors aged 75 by 10%, Mr. Speaker. That means $800 more for full pensioners. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we're going to continue to deliver for seniors. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Speaker, Canadians are not getting the care they need in our healthcare system. This is not surprising. This government has failed to offer real solutions to fix what the Canadian Medical Association is calling an unprecedented health crisis. This failure in leadership is paving the way for Conservatives who want to privatize healthcare, putting profits over patients. Healthcare workers and Canadians are counting on the federal government to protect their public healthcare system. When will the Liberals act to rebuild healthcare in Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very grateful for that question. The member pointed to a healthcare crisis. We have a healthcare crisis, Mr. Speaker, because we have a healthcare workers crisis. We need to support them through the very hard time that they're going through the investment that we've already announced and implemented, including the $2 billion investment that we're making just now to support a reduction in surgeries, the $1 billion investment additional to reduce the pressure on long-term care, healthcare workers and patients. We're going to continue that, Mr. Speaker, because we're there for patients and healthcare workers.
The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, a new study reviewed those points of no return called tipping points, stalled ocean currents, permafrost collapse, forest dieback. The conclusion, even at 1.5 degrees global heating, irreversible and globally damaging thresholds are exceeded. The 9 most dangerous within them, the loss of the Labrador Current looms large. This is dangerous for Canadians. We can avoid this, but only with urgent action. When will this government wake up and cancel TMX and Bay du Nord?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment.
On this side of the House, we share the member's concern about our climate future, and we hear about it every day, every week from our constituents. But just to remind the Honourable Member that we have an ambitious sector-by-sector path for Canada to reach its 2030 targets and to move on to net zero by 2050. It's a very practical roadmap. Mr. Speaker, a couple of examples: incentives and infrastructure for electric vehicles, energy retrofits for greener homes and buildings, reducing oil and gas emissions, and supporting our farmers, Mr. Speaker.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have today for question period. C'est tout le temps que nous avons.